that we're on air.
All right.
We're on air. Woohoo!
Awesome.
All right, so hi everybody. Welcome to the Orange and Green Webisode number 3.
Mm-hmm.
And this webisode is brought to you by me, Jessica Allier, and Trinia Marin.
Hello.
And yeah, we're celebrating that we actually have now 83 members as of
83
today.
members. Can you believe it?
That's crazy. Like, when I
Yeah.
started this, we had a hard time getting 20. And for me, this is a big milestone because that just goes to show that this fandom, this Zoro-Nami pairing isn't as rare as everybody said it was.
Yeah.
You know?
And my guess is that people don't want to acknowledge it openly, but it is a very valid pairing, and it just goes to show that people, you can't always go with what the majority says, if that makes any sense.
And that's exactly right. And yeah, it does. It makes sense because there's a lot of, I hate to say it, I'm sorry if any of you are, fans of odd pairings out there, but there are some very odd One Piece pairings out there, and
like Trafalgar Law and Luffy.
Yeah, that's just, I'm sorry, that's gross.
That's just weird.
Yeah, it is. It is weird. It's weird. There's some, as much as I'm not a yaoi fan, very much, but, I have to acknowledge when it's there, it's there. Like,
I love Sanji and Zoro together, and
exactly.
that makes sense.
It makes sense. It does. And since we're on the Zoro and Nami community, we're not going to dwell on it too long, but I am a fan of that pairing, so...
So am I.
We're gonna move back to the Zoro and Nami,
Mm-hmm.
but
yes.
But it's a very real pairing. Whereas I'm sorry if you're a fan of Trafalgar Law and pretty much anybody. It's weird, I don't know.
Well, back on track. To each their own.
Back on track. Yes.
Whatever floats your boat.
Exactly. And yeah, so I was trying to motivate everybody, on here to, on other communities that Trinia is also on.
Mm-hmm.
We've actually, they've done like specials, like, we have this many members and we're going to do a special where we're going to wear a funky wig or a weird costume or whatever. So I was trying to motivate people to, like, name suggestions that didn't work. So here I am in all my, naturalness, but if anybody has an idea for that, like wear a Nami wig, or like, I don't know, wear a Zoro wig, or like
wear
anything,
a straw hat. Wear a straw hat.
Wear a straw hat, or I don't know, like,
or style your hair like Sanji.
Exactly, style your hair like
Sanji, put on
an
Usopp long nose or something.
Which, hey, look, Sanji's real easy. Because I got a cigarette right here, see? Like, But anyway. So, anything. Any wacky, One Piece costume idea that you can think of, to celebrate. I'm going to say when we get to 100 members, if we get to 100 members, guys, like, I will...
You could dye your hair green.
It's cool, I have no shame. It's all for One Piece, so it's good. It's all for the community. Yeah. Within reason, just a word of warning. Within reason, okay, guys. I'm not gonna shave my head, so
You might dye your hair orange or green, but that would.
Yeah, exactly, and it's nothing I wouldn't have done before, So I've had orange and green hair, so yeah, so, 100 members, think of suggestions, guys, anybody watching this, and, keep suggesting things in the discussions. We want to get more discussions. We want to get more interaction going. It would be really cool to have, people interacting on here, where we have, like, there's been a couple of discussions where we've really had
some interesting feedback.
provocative questions. It's always been like something that's like borderline like sketchy, you know, like when I wrote about, you know, how I was having a hard time with the Robin and Zorro fans, you know. And then of course, you know, people like started throwing comments up there like left and right, and I was like, yes, you know, I'm not alone, you know. And then, you know, the discussion about, you know, is Nami
a virgin?
Exactly.
I thought that was interesting.
That was an interesting comment. So.
Well, you could post how many people do you think Zorro's actually killed? And and has Nami actually killed anyone?
Yeah, that would be interesting. Do we actually have the Q&A function on here? Is anybody actually here right now? I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. I actually have to, you know, this technology crap. Like seriously, it's like yeah. Give me a second. I'm trying to figure this out here. If I can go into the community somehow and see if the Q&A function.
Well, I'm on a tablet, so I'm not so good at checking that out.
I'm on my so old it's not even funny computer, so, you know. I mean, it works, but it's nothing new by any means. I think my computer's from 2007.
Well, it's held up well.
Yes, it has. So, you know, just because I've done all these like loving updates and like, you know, I've, you know, it's you know, the old military way of you kick it a couple of times and it'll start working again. And
well, yeah, that's having been a military brat myself, I can.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
I get it.
Let's just hope it keeps working, because if it doesn't work, then I have no computer. And, you know, I am really, like, you know, there's all these, like, you know, they have all these, like, things on TV all the time. All these people can, like, text at, like, 1,000 words a minute. And I think I just have really fat thumbs, and I can't do it, you know, like other people. And, like, seriously, I think my thumbs are literally too fat for the QWERTY keyboard, you know? And, like, seriously, I am the slowest typer when it comes to, like, responding.
Well, I'm not very good at texting with two thumbs. And the keyboard is awkward.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just, I don't know. All right. Well, we have people that are here, supposedly, so, you know what? I am going to... And, I don't even know if we have a link. Do we have a link?
I'm not sure.
This is what I mean by all these like technical difficulties here. And we have 0 viewers, and we have a link button. So.
They would have had to go to YouTube to find it, right?
YouTube link. Oh, we have a YouTube link. Okay, so I could throw that up on the community, and that means that we will. As soon as my computer loads. Alright, sweet. Alright. I mean, oh Jesus, it's gotta be so slow. I hate this. Okay.
It's like an antediluvian technology.
I know, and it's like I can see myself type. You know, I'm typing faster than my computer actually is, and it annoys the shit out of me sometimes. And it's software, and it's just like, oh my god, you know, like I have no patience with it when it comes to this kind of stuff. So okay.
Well, I hate autocorrect on the tablet.
Yeah, autocorrect is awful. I get that a lot because I type back and forth between like German and English all the time, and it's like I'll sit there and type something in English, and then it'll have a German word, and it'll sound really awful in English, and vice versa, you know. And I'm just like, oh god, you know. And I'm like, of all the words it could have chose out of autocorrect, like what the hell, you know, like. Okay, come join us. Join us and submit your questions Q and A. And also what drives me nuts is going back and forth between a German and an American keyboard because I can't remember what any of the special keys are. So
the
I'm like,
umlaut keys or something.
I'm like, well, no, the umlaut keys are easy, but I'm like, Q and? Where's the and button on this keyboard? And I'm like, you know, like.
It's near the any key.
Yeah, that one. That one exactly. So, discussion. Okay. Oh, yay, maybe we'll get viewers. Okay. That would be awesome. Okay. And then we can actually get into the topics.
Yes.
See if anybody comes in. They're probably all thinking, oh my god, it's been like 30 minutes. Maybe they're not doing this, you know? And I'm like,
we're here.
Yeah, we're here. We're doing this, but for whatever reason, I'm technology retarded. So it's like when you give me directions, it's just not gonna happen. You know, like I'm not even kidding. Like I went. Oh my god, I have to tell this story, even if people look at this after the fact. So here's my embarrassing story of the year here. So I had to go to somewhere I've already been once, you know. I had to go to my health insurance office.
Yes.
So like, all right, so I have to take the train to Ostkreuz, which is one of the train stations. And I was like, I know how to do that. So I got on the train and I took it to Ostkreuz. So I get off the train. And I have 2 exits that I can take. I can take the left exit or the right exit. And I'm like, well, I don't really remember what exit I took the last time. And I'm like, I was like, I'm just gonna go right. And you know, I mean, it can't be that far away from each other,
the best.
Right? Yeah, so I took the right exit, and I should have taken the left exit. After the fact, I realized this, but so I'm walking. And I went on to my Google Maps app on my phone. Right?
Yes.
Yes, so theoretically everything should have been fine. So I'm walking down this street and it says I need to walk like, 900 meters and then I'm at my destination. So I'm walking, and I'm walking, and I'm walking.
And you're walking, and you're walking.
And I don't realize that you need to press the refresh button every now and then. So I refresh it, and then it's like, you need to walk 1.3 kilometers in the opposite direction. I'm like, the fuck, right? So I'm like, are you telling me I just walked 900 meters, like, almost
in the wrong direction.
Half a mile in the wrong direction. Are you freaking kidding me? Because it told me to go this way. Arrow was pointed this way. Like, what are you talking about, right? So I'm like, fine. Okay. So I start walking in the other direction. And then at some point I'm on this bridge, and I'm standing around this bridge, and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, okay, this bridge goes over the Spree, which is the river in Berlin. And I'm like... And there's those 2 statue thingies in the middle of the river. And I'm like, but that means that's Treptower Park, And I'm like, but that's in the opposite direction of where I need to go. And I'm like, wait a minute, like, where am I? Like, I'm in the middle of nowhere. And I probably walked almost a mile and not realized this. And I'm like, the fuck? And I'm like, where am I, right?
Where am I?
So I turned the navigate button back on my phone, and it's like, well, you walk the other way on this bridge, and I'm like, oh,
now you tell me.
That makes sense. So I turn around and I walk the other way on this bridge, and it's like, keep walking, walk this far, and I'm like, okay, and then I realized
that's a very Zorro thing, isn't it?
What I realized was I needed to take the left exit, and then I crossed the street, and I took a right, and I would have been there. It would have taken me 5 minutes. 5. And I walked around for a freaking hour, lost. on my phone like a retard, like, navigate me, where am I? Like, I can't find my way, you know, and I'm just sitting there going, oh my god, I'm too embarrassed to ask for directions, because they're going to be like, well, go this way, or go that, and I'm going to be like, you know, like I don't know, like, I was, oh god, I was so pissed off at the end of it, and then I was like, and then of course I called my boyfriend, and I'm like, well, I just got done at the, you know.
Mhm. Oh.
You know, and didn't you? And I was like, no. And he's like, okay. He's like, I'll see you in a little bit. You know how to get home, right? And I was like, you know what? Bite me. Like, I'll talk to you later. Bye. You know? And he's like, okay, whatever. You know? I was like, oh. You know? And he's like, seriously, can't take you anywhere. Can't send you anywhere. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. You know? Next time, come with me, and I won't get lost. You know? So. But there's literally been like a couple of moments where we've been walking together, and I'm like literally walking with him, and I'm like blah 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 blah, and I'm so like I'm like no I didn't, I tripped over a rock in the road, and he's like yeah okay just let's go, you know, and I'm like oh you know. So, you know, Zorro's pain, I feel it. I'm really a retard when it comes to that kind of thing, you know, so.
Well, you're a walking, talking emulation of Zorro. They must have moved that sign again.
Yeah, exactly. Move the whole city around, damn it. You know, like, this bridge wasn't there 2 seconds ago, right? Yeah.
It's a conspiracy.
And then, you know, seriously, like, my boyfriend's like, well, here's what I want to do to the kitchen. I want to build this here in the left corner in the upper blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and I'm sitting there blinking at him, you know, after about 5 minutes. I was like, you realize I'm retarded with this stuff, right? Like, you realize I cannot literally picture it in my head, right? I'm
directionally challenged.
I was like, you're talking and I'm nodding, but it's not, you know.
All I'm hearing is meh, 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 meh.
I'm hearing, I'm going to put the counter here. And I'm like, oh, that sounds good. You know, like, what color is the counter? You know, like, I could totally go with that, you know. And he's like, no, but I got to put the other counter. And I'm like, I don't care where you put the other counter. I was like,
just put it somewhere.
I was like, just put it somewhere. And he's like, you know what? And he finally was like, you know what? You have to go out of town on this one day. I was like, yeah. And he's like, I'm going to do the whole kitchen when you're gone. And I was like, oh, thank God. I was like, thank you so much. I was like, because, like, seriously, if you do it while I'm here, I think I might kill you. You know, like, I'll go into the kitchen for coffee, and you'll just be like, get out of my kitchen, or get out of the kitchen. I'll be like, it's my kitchen, like. Myself, and, you know, I was like, yes, please renovate the kitchen while I'm gone, because it would be fantastic. And then I can come back and sort my things out, and everything will be good. The world will be zen again, and we will have no problems, you know. So I'm like, why do you even try to explain this stuff to me? He's like, because it's conversational. And I'm like, you know what? Go stick your conversational somewhere where the sun don't shine, because I don't care, you know. Like, I was like, I don't want to hear your conversational. I don't care, you know. We've got viewers now. Woohoo!
Yay! Hooray!
Yay! Cool. All right, that means that we can actually get on topic. So
awesome.
All right. So yeah, we've been sitting here BSing for a little bit, but it's all been Zorro related.
Well, the directionally challenged thing is definitely Zorro related.
Yeah, so when you guys read my fan fiction, you realize that I really do know what I'm talking about. I'm not even faking,
they tell authors write what they know.
Yep. Oh, yes. Well, I remember that we wrote a labyrinth scene, and I really was, like, you know, I was trying to inspire my inner Zorro, and I was just like, oh, Jesus, like, And, you know, the funny thing is, I just read that one fan fiction. I posted the link. Don't ask me what it was called. There's a labyrinth in that story,
Oh,
right? And
wow.
it's such a freaking good story. Oh my God, right?
That's neat.
So I'm sitting there and I'm reading the story, and I'm like, conversation, blah blah blah, between Zoro and Nami, and there's another character in there as well. And so I'm reading conversation, you know, where they're going in the labyrinth, and I'm like, whoomp, blank space. And then I'm like, conversation, whoomp, blank space. And I'm just like, you know, I'm just not even, you know, I'm going to scan over what it says because, you know, I can't keep track of this stuff. Like, what are they trying from right, up from down, and
It's one of those things like, is this essential to the story, and can I blip over it?
paper somewhere, you know. But, you know, I'm not one of them. So, you know, no, it wasn't essential to the story. It didn't detract from it at all. But I was just like, oh my God, these directions make my head hurt. I don't care what tunnel they take, you know, like, like.
Well, when I write a fan fiction, I just basically say they went this way, they went that way, and they saw this, they saw that. But I guess that's just my no-nonsense approach to writing. That's my style.
I appreciate the imagery. I love the imagery, you know, and I love the more detail you throw into a story. But at the same time, I'm like, if you put, you know, labyrinth stuff, you know, I mean, I can describe a general route, you know, like when you go, you know. But after the fact, don't ask me how I wrote it, because I won't be able to tell you. You know, like, well, you know, just go back and read the chapter. It's right there, you know, guys. Come on, you know. Yeah. So, you know. But, you know, everybody's got their strengths and weaknesses, and, you know.
Yeah, and I know there's definitely weaknesses I have as a writer, and one of mine is coming up with a plot ahead of time. I just sometimes write where the story tells me to go.
Yeah, well, I mean, and then it just calls for improv, and then you just, you know, yeah, you have to improv through it, which is, you know, I find a lot of stories that, you know, personally, that you and I have written together and everything, where there's been improv involved, that we've had to, you know, you'll come up with like a, you know, we kind of basically sort of plan, you know, where it's going to go, and then you come up with like some left hook somewhere, and I'm just like, oh, that's cool, we're going to run with that, you know, and then we improv the rest of the way through the story, and, you know, it turns out great. So, you know,
well,
I mean,
sometimes that doesn't always work, though, and I used when I wrote Doctor Who fan fiction, I would have like a whole big plan and everything, but as I wrote Dragon Ball Z fanfiction, I eventually just said, the hell with the plan, it's what the characters are telling me to do, and it has strengths and weaknesses in both.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. There are just some definite strengths and weaknesses to both sides of it. You know, I personally, what I've done now is, you know, to keep myself on track, I write out sort of a whole plan, like what I'm going to write, what I'm going to, you know, what's going to be in this chapter, basically, you know, and I change it around about 14 times before I'm done with it. But I mean, that's what I've done.
And it seems to work.
Yeah. And so I've got a working plot, and I'm almost towards the end of it. So I mean, it's worked out so far. Which, speaking of that, I really need to get back on that and write the next chapter. I've been putting it off because it's kind of a rough chapter to write, but yeah, I need to get back on it. So at some point, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, we'll see. We'll see when I'm motivated.
I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a darker, more dramatic chapter. I'll give everybody a little bit of a pre-warning on that, but it won't be anything too like, you know, horrible or graphic or anything. But it's definitely
gonna be a dark one.
It's darker than most. So you know, there's been some dark themes in there, you know.
Well, it's
but
always good to put a trigger warning on.
And that's what I did, because this one's more of a trigger warning that, you know, the sort of scene that I'm writing is more of, it's not anything that, you know, it's more of a, it's kind of like, have you ever seen Saving Private Ryan?
Yes, I have.
That beginning scene in Normandy where it's like the sound blanks out and he's walking through and, you know, mortars are going off, guns are going off, there's bodies falling all over. It's kind of one of those scenes. And so I put a trigger
like Platoon warning. Or something.
I put a trigger warning at the beginning of it, and I'm like, I understand, I'm a military veteran, so
yeah.
There are, you know, extreme violence and blood and guts and what have you, and, you know, but, you know, if that's something that'll affect you, then please use caution in reading. But, you know, other than that, it should be fine for most people. It's just like,
well,
if you're
it's just good to put warnings on, because people sometimes have commented in the past, I wish you put a blah 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 trigger warning on this before you wrote about this. And I thought, oh crap.
You know, I've written about some sketchier subjects and everything, and kind of barely put a trigger warning on there, and this is the only trigger warning actually I've ever put on my stories. And, you know, but, you know, it's more like, I'm like, well, I kind of have some familiarity with like where this can trigger, so I don't know, maybe that's where it, I don't know. So, I mean, if you have no problem with like blood, guts, and violence, then you shouldn't have a problem reading it.
Well, some people have no trouble with blood, guts, and violence, but things like rape or human slavery or things like that, they do. So you never know.
Like, yeah, that's true, and I hear you, and I understand, and maybe I should have put better trigger warnings and stuff.
No,
like
I'm not trying to criticize you there.
Yeah,
I've only done it because I usually put a warning anyway. And it's not like it isn't rated, your story's rated mature, so it's nothing beyond the rating.
That's true, and I don't really describe my scenes in graphic detail. Mine are, I always have taken, I think we discussed this in, you know, either privately or in another podcast, I'm not sure anymore, but like I've always taken the you know, Gene Simmons, you know, from Kiss, he always said that, you know, he used to watch these old Dracula films, and you watch these old films, and it's true, you know, and you're watching the film, you're on the edge of your seat.
It's what you don't see that you're scared of.
That really fucks with your head, yeah, and
like the original Psycho.
Exactly, it's what you don't see. It's, you see up to a certain point, and then you don't see anymore, and then you're just like, oh, Jesus, what happened? Oh, my God, like, this just happened to so-and-so, and oh, my God, that's awful, right? And it literally just, like, it messes with your head, and I'm a big fan of that. I love that, you know, and if that's not, you know, enough for some people, then I'm sorry, but that's the way I write a lot of times, because there are some topics that I will not write. I will not write a rape scene.
Yeah.
I have a really hard time because of personal experience with domestic violence, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I won't write a scene because you know, talking about triggers, I have my own, you know, and there are some but I have no problem writing like a really, you know, almost a war zone type scene where it's like blood, guts, and, you know, just horrid. I don't have a problem with writing that, because for me, I can, like, you know, I can picture it. What I do is I kind of pan back as like a movie director. You know what I mean? And
yeah, like a detached observer.
Exactly. It's all fake in my head. It's not really kids being dead, you know, it's all fake in my head, Because if it was like a real life situation that I had lived or something, you know, then I think I really would have a problem with it. But, you know, because
Yeah, you can compartmentalize it.
Exactly. And so I don't really have a problem writing that sort of thing. It's stuff that I've lived personally that I really do have a problem writing, you know. And since I haven't lived that, you know, I've never been in a war zone. I've never seen that sort of carnage or anything, you know. I don't have a problem writing it because, yeah, I can compartmentalize it and everything. And, you know, I just go with
Mm-hmm.
that. And,
But the
more over
process
the
of
top.
writing is fascinating,
It is.
especially with One Piece. Because
It
what
is.
do you include of the pirate lifestyle and what don't you? The death
Mhm.
and the...
I
And you can't
agree.
sanitize certain things.
I agree. And what I really, really, really loved, what movie was it? Oh my God. Was it Film Z? Or was it another one? There was one film where there's a little kid and he like, you know, he sees Luffy and he worships the ground Luffy walks on because he's like, oh my God, you're a pirate and I idolize you. And he's got stars in his eyes and, you know, he's just got this biggest like, you know, oh, when I grow up I wanted to be just like you complex, right, with Luffy.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, but it's not so much Luffy, it's piracy in general. And he
Yeah.
looks up to Luffy as a pirate. And I think it was Film Z, you know, to tell you the truth. And I might be wrong, or it was the movie before that. And but the thing was, in the Japanese version, it wasn't translated correctly in English, and that bothered me. But in the
Mm-hmm.
Japanese version, Luffy said something along the lines of, "That's fine, kid, but not all pirates are like us." And he gave like the way he worded it was so strongly said and so brilliant, and I was just like, "Oh, you know, like." Way to go, Luffy, you know, because you just gave this kid hope that he can be whatever he wants to be when he grows up.
Yeah, he can
But
be...
just to remember that
Yeah.
not all pirates, you can have that freedom as a pirate, like
Yeah.
Luffy.
You can
But
be any kind of a pirate you want.
exactly. And that was what the message was, and that's the way it was translated. The way I took it, the way I read it, and the way it was translated very, very basically in English, and I was kind of disappointed. And I was like, meh. You know, that was the only time I was really disappointed with the dub, and I was like, come on, guys, like you could have put
Mm-hmm.
such an inspirational
Yeah. Well, it's a bummer when that happens.
because they translated it with a little drab, but you know, but it was such a cool moment because I was like, you know, that's the only time it's really addressed that, you know, because Luffy knows he's not the typical pirate. He doesn't go raid and pillage, you know. I mean, he's more of the, you know, we'll give out our last, like, shirt
Adventure.
back, you know, for you guys if you're worthy. If, you know, if your town just got, like, raided by bad pirates, you know, we're going to leave our treasure, our shirt, our food, you know, damn what Nami and Sanji do to him, you know, I mean, because they'll beat the shit out of him after the fact, you know, behind, you know, it'll be comical, it'll be funny, but seriously, like, Luffy will give everything to help people.
Yes, he
And
would.
he's a pirate, you know, and he fights against, you know, the government, and he fights against, you know, um, I don't know, like any sort of governmental presence. You know, he waged war against the world government personally and everything. I mean, but at the same time, you know, for the everyday person, the citizen that's suffering under this whole thing, you know, he will give the shirt off his back. He'll do anything for people, you know. And I mean, you know, as goofy and stupid as he is, sometimes nobody can say anything bad about that, you know. I
Yeah,
mean,
because he has his faults, but he's got a good heart.
mm, he's got the best heart out of anybody out there. And I mean, as dumb as he is sometimes, and there's moments where you're sitting there going, really, Luffy, like seriously, what were you thinking? Like, I don't even blame your crew. Like, if you had any other crew, they would mutiny against you.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got Zoro there, and you've got Nami there, you know, and you've got Sanji there, and nobody's going to mutiny against you. You know, the closest thing to mutiny he's had is Usopp, and that broke my heart. Like, really. I mean, it broke everybody's heart. It was horrible.
Yes,
you know,
but it made it even bittersweet when he came back and said he was sorry, and that's all he had to do.
That's all he had to do, and that's basically like, and I love that scene. I love that scene when Zoro put his foot down and he said, no, don't you even think about just taking him back because, you know, he's your best buddy or what have you. You know, I don't remember what the exact line. Exactly, and he was like, it's like he better beg and grovel and what have you, you know, to have his place back. And, you know, you don't sit there, you're the captain, and you don't sit there and take anything less. And it's amazing because, you know, it took Zoro to sit there and tell Luffy, the freaking captain, who sits there and, like, you know, demands his captain place, you know. I mean, he's got his Jack Sparrow moments, too, you know, where he's like, I'm the captain, you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, you sure as hell don't act like it sometimes. So
yeah, that's why you got to first meet like Zoro to remind you, and also Nami too.
The damn respect, you know. Yeah, and everybody else was all like, "Oh, well," and you saw Nami, and Nami didn't say a word. She just had like a really kind of stern look on her face, and it's like you could tell she was kind of keeping herself back out of it, you know. And
yeah, she knew not to mess with Zoro's advice and counsel.
Yeah, exactly. And there's, you know, certain characters that kept themselves out of it. There's certain characters that were a little more vocal about it and everything. But, you know, seriously, like, I don't know, like, that moment when Usopp's like, I'm sorry, you know, and Luffy just kind of, like, burst out in tears, and he's like, okay, you know, it's just like, oh, God, you know, like, punch to the heart, like, come on, guys, just hurry up and get Usopp back on board, and everything can go on, you know?
Yeah.
Like, everything's forgiven and forgotten at that point, and it almost really kind of was. I mean, I'm sure they had their little chit-chats, you know, behind the scenes and everything, but, I mean... But seriously, I mean, I can't. Usopp and Luffy really actually fight each other. That was awful. It was horrible.
Yes.
You know.
And the fact that Usopp was able to fight in his condition is just mind-blowing.
It really was.
Of course, yeah.
Yep. All right, so I'm going to go back to, you know, the one topic that we actually did get on here
for
this podcast. Aohime Mizuki. I'm really sorry. I don't know if you're male or female, so I shall refer to you as they throughout the rest of this podcast.
Yeah, that sounds like a good gender-neutral
Yeah, exactly. So please correct me if, you know, obviously I'm wrong, so I'm referring as neutral. So is there any sort of clue that I can look on here? No. All right, so I can't see if they are, you know, what gender. Okay, so they suggested a topic, and basically their comment was as following. Okay, I have this one thing, and it's about a possibility of Zoro's death or something happening to him in Wano, at least in some theories I read here. Names the website. And I would also like to know what you think of it. There's also another theory about Zoro and his cursed sword, Sandai Kitetsu. I can post it here later if you want. Unfortunately, they did not post their theory about Sandai Kitetsu. I would really like to know what they think about that. I have my own little theories, but I'm going to address first of all. Okay, so this website that they mentioned was the Oro Jackson, and as most people should know, the Oro Jackson was Gold Roger's ship, and this is a website basically that contains forums, and they have spoiler alerts for like any of the chapters that come out, any of the future chapters and everything, and they have all these theories that people post, and most of them are actually very well written. I have to say that. And so I've read a lot of stuff on this website. So basically, somebody went on a tangent at some point, and they said, chapter 944, Oda's foreshadowing. The death of Zoro. Okay, so somebody noticed something. Okay, so we're on chapter, I don't know, 7 something right now, 700 and something. Anyway, so, okay, bear with me, because I'm going to actually read. Okay, so there are 3 people that basically wrote these spoiler alerts. Am I actually on the right one? Okay, yes. Okay. So, okay, so this post is actually based on an amazing observation of explaining how Oda foreshadowed Zoro's death in chapter 944. But why did Oda choose 944 as Zoro's death chapter? This question led me to check the chapter numbers with 4 and 9. This was what I found, and it really surprised me. Now, I think they're grabbing at straws.
Yeah.
Okay. So, basically, they went on to basically mention, in chapter 49, Zoro himself mentioned that he has thrown away his attachment to life. In chapter 94, we can see Bellamir's grave. In this chapter, we can see Zoro's scary appearance with the blackened left eye. I don't know how that ties in, but okay. Also, in this chapter, Zoro was basically lying there groaning in pain because he was being stitched up from, fighting Arlong and getting his wounds reopened up. In chapter 409, Zoro was in danger. He mentioned it himself. I don't know what chapter 409 was, honestly, but okay. In chapter 449, Zoro is drawn to talking with his eyes covered in his own bubble text. I mean, how often does Oda draw a character talking with his eyes covered with the character's own bubble text? Not so often, I guess. Eyes closed or covered may represent death. Nice, okay.
Well, sometimes eyes closed represents embarrassment or hidden feelings.
Yes, and that's why I think a lot of this is grasping for straws.
Because death doesn't. He has a promise to keep. He's not going to want to die before.
Exactly. I agree.
Has that promise to.
Yeah. Okay, so also.
Karina.
Yeah. Also, in this chapter, Moria was going to show a nightmare in this chapter. You can have a nightmare in your sleep, and guess who sleeps most of the time? Yes, Zoro. Okay, yeah, that's really grasping at straws. I'm sorry, but okay. So, in chapter 490, the Straw Hats had another celebration, and Zoro was asleep. Okay, that's really grasping at straws. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Chapter 499, Zoro was shot to death, and I'm not really sure what they're talking about here. It's something in Bodhi, and I think with Jewelry Bonnie, where he's supposed to get shot to death. Yeah. So,
and we know that she basically saved his life.
He smashed a tomato in his face, basically.
Yeah. I like Jewelry Bonnie.
Yeah. She's like, what kind of a moron are you? And he's like, huh?
What's going on? I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, what are you talking about? I'm drunk right now. Seriously, he was smashed. I'm convinced of that. because he was a little more dense. Either he was pretending he was a lot more dense than he was, or he was. I mean, because he's walking around with a bottle. I have no idea. I have my own theories of.
Yeah. He was probably quite intoxicated.
Yeah. Okay, so here's another theory. Here's another member's theory on the same website. Hello, once again. I'm reading this word for word. So hello, once again, everyone. And this time I have something that I find very interesting, and I'm pretty sure most of you know about this, so I'll get straight to the point. Zoro is unlucky. From misfortune to curses to getting lost to always having the worst matchups to always being the SH who always gets hurt. I have no idea what that's supposed to stand for, but okay. To losing an eye, etc. Everything negative is stalking Zoro. An attempt to claim his soul or something. The latest color spread at this time is no different. They show a color spread. Okay. What catches most people's attention is the obvious tombstone that Zoro is sitting on. And basically he's sitting on them. Okay, picnic with zombies is the theme of this color spread, basically. And they're all sitting there having a picnic with a bunch of zombies. Which, take it or leave it, I think it's just for me. But, okay. What catches most people's attention is the obvious tombstone that Zoro is sitting on. Zoro's shirt has the words El que ultimo rimahor, which translates to he who laughs the longest. Yeah, okay. Many people go to chapter 494 and assume that Zoro just might die. Okay.
Weird.
The tombstone he's sitting on has the date December 20th, 1949. Okay. But nothing of the sort will occur. 944, and Zoro's shirt has a lot more meaning to it. 944, in my opinion, will be during the Wado Kaido arc. Wano, Kano, and Kaido himself. Okay, they're going on about how many chapters each arc has been so far. Being so unlucky, Zoro must affiliate with the number 13, the most popular unlucky number today. Whatever.
Well,
but do you guys
in Asian culture, 13 isn't an unlucky number. Only in Western culture.
Yeah, and then they go on to say, but did you guys know that the number 17 is also unlucky? 9 plus 4 is 17. In Italy, the number 17 is considered just unlucky because in Roman it can be VIXI, which is Italian for I live. To them, you're pretty much jinxing, playing with or gambling with your life. Let's look at the numbers that correlate with unlucky numbers 13 and 17. Chapters 449, which they have a spoiler. Okay, we'll go down to where I don't have to read through all these spoilers. Alright. This person goes through so much stuff. Alright, I'm going on to the next person. And, okay. This, because they go through, like, literally chapters and chapters of stuff, and I'm not really seeing the correlation here. I'm seeing stuff that doesn't really have quite much to do with each other. I'll post the link for everybody to check out and read themselves.
Yeah, just for curiosity's sake.
It's actually on the website already. Ayohime posted it. The Oro Jackson link, basically. And, I mean, you can read it yourself, but, like, the second theory, like I said, that I just started going through, to me, I'm reading through and trying to kind of get a gist to, like, what they're trying to say, and I'm not. I do realize the color spread that they posted at the same time, had it's the zombie with picnic, the zombie picnic with zombies post, and I think it was probably posted sometime after Thriller Bark or whatever, because it's got a Thriller Bark feel to the artwork. And he's literally sitting on a tombstone. And it says December 20th, 949.
Huh.
They're all kind of sitting around the graveyard, and he just happens to be sitting on this tombstone.
Well, that's just what I think of, is that he doesn't worry about death, or he's so sure that he's going to fulfill his promise to Kowina that death won't stop him.
Yes. And you know, and he's got this whole philosophy anyway, leave it to luck. He's said that during, you know, I mean, that's Zoro's whole thing, leave it to luck, you know, like, whatever happens, happens. Like, I can't stop it, you know.
Yeah. Fate.
Yeah, exactly. And, okay, so they go on to say, and this is one of the more, I mean, it's kind of stretching in my opinion. That's my opinion, but it makes more sense. Okay, December 20th, 944 is the date written on the tombstone, which I believe stands for chapter 944, which, if you do the math, will actually be released around the 20th of December in 2018.
Interesting.
And if they actually do the math, yes, theoretically, taking in all the breaks in effect, that's actually when that chapter will be released. There's no doubt about it. So, the last letter on the tombstone appears to be an O, as in Zoro. No, no, but anyway. So, yeah. Also, his left hand is around the zombie, which is... Okay, hold on. Left hand is around the zombie, which is... Okay. The zombie that he's got his left arm around has a hat with a skull on it. Okay. Zoro has a skull on the back of his shirt. Yeah. There's 3 skulls in total. Zoro, 3 swords. I think they're stretching here. But, I mean, the only thing that was a little bit chilling, I have to say, is that they're like 944, and then they're like December 20th, and I'm like, well, really, actually, if you do the math, chapter 944 gets released about December 20th, 2018. I was like, that's kind of a little bit spooky, and, you know, that might just be coincidence.
There might be something there, but you don't know.
Yeah, and so basically, and then they go on to say, the saying on his shirt says, El querido ultimori mejor, which translates to, and I probably just pronounce that awful, so I apologize, but he who laughs last laughs the longest.
Well, and that doesn't necessarily have to do with death either.
No, not necessarily. And he's got basically kind of like a biker vest on in the thing, and it's got a skull and it's got that phrase around it, basically. And he might have just thought it looked cool, you know? I don't know.
Knowing him.
Yeah. And the phrase makes me wonder if Zoro will fight somebody and die in the process while having his last laugh. We already found out about Oda's foreshadowing of things by switching the number of chapters. Let's try it with the number 944 and turn it to 494. And the first page shows... okay. It's Zoro during Sabaody. And it's kind of a scene where he's like, I don't even know what that is. Anyway, it's one of the scenes where he's basically it's him standing there in Sabaody with his hand over his chest, and he's like the blacked out eyes where he's just like, you know, kind of bent over, and I don't know. He doesn't look his best, to tell you the truth. So
he looks like he's ill.
Yeah,
but we know in the past that he hasn't fully recovered from some of his injuries.
Yeah.
And you had that theory that he'd messed up his back.
I agree. Yes, and there. Yeah, I mean, I think he went through. I mean, all right. So for all of those on the community that don't know my background, which most don't, I have a medical background. I was a medic in the U.S. military,
Mhm.
and I'm getting my degree in psychology.
Yeah.
And I plan to eventually study either medicine or forensic anthropology, which deals with bones of deceased people.
That's
And so,
fascinating.
and I've always had an interest in anything that has to do with medicine or forensics or like
Mhm.
anything that I could get my hands on as far as reading medical journals, books on
Yes.
anatomy, anything to do with that sort of thing. I've read through it, like wildfire, and that's been since high school.
Yeah.
And so, um, I am nowhere near a qualified doctor, mind you, but I would like to say, some at least limited medical knowledge. So,
Yeah. So you do
you
have
know,
some. You do know something of what you're talking about.
exactly. And, to watch the whole thriller bike thing, like, and to even speculate on, like, what sort of injuries he had, like, I really think, like, he sustained a remarkable trauma that he should have never lived through. You know what I mean? And he lived through it.
Mhm.
He was fine, but I have no doubt in my mind that, through the Saboti arc, we know that he was not fully recovered. And
Mhm.
under Mihawk, well, part of it he was training under Mihawk. I think it took him probably a good year to recover, and then he trained a year under Mihawk, and then he met up with the Straw Hats and reunited with them. But out of all honesty, I think it took him a significant chunk of time to recover.
Yeah, because
And
that's just what he went through was insane.
exactly, and out of all honesty, he was nowhere near recovered. We saw he was in awful shape. He was in the worst shape ever, during Saboti,
Yes.
and then I mean, it was worse than when he was at Arlong Park. Out of all
Yeah.
honesty, I mean, he was in pain
Well,
at Arlong Park, but
well,
he was still
seeing
able
all the
to push through.
bandages that Perona put on him, yes, she over bandaged him, but she probably saw a lot of wounds that were bad.
I think Perona was like, "Oh my God, there's a blue mark there. I'm gonna
Mhm.
put." Yeah, I think most of his body at that point was just black and blue out of like protection of itself. I don't even think his body was like, clotting properly at that point. I don't think his body was reacting normal. I think his body was like completely, beyond itself. It was like, I can't keep up at this point. We're just gonna heal what we can, you know.
Mhm.
First come, first serve. Let's go.
Yeah. That's a
And
scary thing to think about.
yeah, and when you have massive, significant injuries like that, I mean, obviously, if you survive, if you don't die from said injuries, I mean, that's kind of basically what it is. It all heals at its own pace, and you're lucky to come through it because, if you don't have like internal damage, you know, and I'm
Mhm.
not talking about like bone breaks. I mean, bone breaks you can recover from in all theory,
That's
like,
different than tissue trauma. Like you can
yeah,
have organ failure.
exactly. Or you can have a bone break I mean, you can have a rib break that goes into your lungs, or you can have abdominal trauma that affects your liver or your spleen, where you
Mhm.
have to have massive surgery, to like, repair them to control the
Yeah.
bleeding. Or, you know, you can have a bone break that festers, basically, that doesn't like grow back together, and you can have blood poisoning from it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like there's a million things that can go wrong, here, and I'm just surprised that like he lived through it. It's just I don't
Yeah.
know, like
Mind blowing.
we only saw a sneak peek at what happened, between him and Kuma. Kuma's like, here's a small taste of what Luffy he went through. We saw like Zoro basically get dealt the Gatling gun, and it's just like he's sitting there and he's like, he gets dealt the Gatling gun. And he's like, huffing, puffing, and he can barely stand up, and he's like in so much pain. And I'm like, seriously, what ribs of his did not get broken in that? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, it was hard for me to watch that scene.
It was. It was very
I can't
difficult.
watch that scene without crying.
Yep, and then you have the, right after that, Sanji comes out and tries to, like, help him, and, like, everybody's like, oh, well, what's Sanji gonna do? And I'm like, seriously, can you guys have some respect, for, like, what he just tried to do? And it's like, and the only reason, it's like, yeah, he got caught off guard by Zoro, like, had he been paying attention to Zoro, he probably would have seen the punch coming, the hit coming, But, like, he's so concentrated on, like, I'm going to take his place, Yeah. He didn't see it coming, And, everybody's like, well, Sanji's weak. What could he have done? And I'm like, he's on the same par as Zoro is. And, we ain't seen nothing yet from Sanji.
Well, Sanji basically almost starved to death and survived.
Yeah, as a child. I know.
Yes.
And that's amazing. Yeah.
That's one reason I think he's so real thin is because he had malnutrition. And there are certain things that he didn't.
Yep. And, just to put it realistically, anybody that has, that almost starves to death, once you get past a certain point of malnutrition, there's malnutrition, then there's actual starvation. And most children, like, you see those African children that have everything. Most of them are so far gone, honestly. Like, they're like, oh, donate $5 and, help the starving children. When you see them at that point, I'm sorry to tell you all, but most of them do not survive that point, because that shows a protein deficiency.
Yeah.
Their stomachs are like that.
People who were in Auschwitz never got over certain things.
Yep. And
concentration camp survivors, prison camp survivors.
Yep. And most children cannot recover. As an adult, you can actually recover easier because you're already grown up. You already have everything you need. If you think about it, a child requires so and so many calories per day because they are, they're
growing.
They're growing a brain. They're growing a body, And most children that are starving to death basically are in that state. They don't recover, And the fact that, on sheer willpower probably, that he survived that predicament, or because of Zeph's sacrifice, out of all honesty, because I think Sanji got a little bit more, to eat than Zeph. And I think Sanji got a lot more to eat than Zeph did,
But Zeph was an adult, so he could withstand the loss more than Sanji.
Yeah, and I think Zeph was, out of all honesty, I think Zeph was one of those kind of, guys that, older guys with a little bit of a pooch, in the
he
belly
had fat.
area, and you got Sanji, who was already a scrawny kid, I mean, but it's amazing that Sanji lived through it, to tell you the truth. I mean, and he did. He lived through it, and that shows a lot, But I don't think for a second that he did not go through a lot of pain and a lot of recovery and everything. I mean, it took him a while to get back on his feet. He wasn't like, oh, well, he got a full meal in his stomach and he bounced back and he was fine, guys, No.
It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't. And it took him months and months and months to recover, if not years, and he did get back on his feet.
If you look at what happened with poor Luffy in Marineford, he lost years off of his life to recover from that poison.
Yeah.
And it was only with Ivan coughs and all that food he ate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Yeah. And then, Yeah, I just watched that the other day on German TV, and even though it was a little weird, Luffy's voice is awful in German, but even so, I have to say all the other voices are pretty awesome, and Ivan Koff's voice in German is just like fabulous. So it works so well, and and that word works so well for Ivan Chan. That. It works so well. It's like he has this fantastic voice in German and everything with the whole death wink and everything, and no, it worked. It was really cool, like between him and Bon Clay, like what they did for them for Luffy and everything, and the fact that he survived that too was awesome, and but going back to the topic at hand, do I think that this thing is the whole foreshadowing of Oda foreshadowing Zoro's death? No, I don't.
No, I don't buy it either. He's come close to death so often.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if Oda was really gonna kill him off, to I don't know. I don't even know why he would kill him off, to tell you the truth. There's no rhyme or reason for it. Like what are you gonna kill him off for? To have like an emotional reaction from the fans or whatever? But no, I mean, I think Zoro's gonna be a key member of the cast till the end. And I just really can't see Oda saying, well, no, who cares about the Zoro fans? We're just gonna lay them by the wayside and make them cry, and we're gonna move on through the. I can't see it happening, and I don't think there's anything there. With this whole supposable foreshadowing. I think people are grasping at straws, and they're like, oh well, I think this and this and this is gonna happen. And this is all because of a color spread. Like seriously, going back to the color spreads, I'm a Zoro and Nami fan. Like, what should I say about the color spreads? Like,
there's
seriously.
A lot of different theories about the color spreads, which are fascinating if you look at Zoro and Nami, like similarities in clothing and jewelry.
Yeah. Exactly. And I'm like, there are so many things that I can sit there and say, that, oh, this and this and this and this, and it's not just one or two, it's multiple color spreads throughout the years that I can sit there and go back and claim and say, well, that just goes ahead and proves that they're meant to be because, Oda did this in a color spread. I mean, it's the same kind of thing. I mean, it's
the color spreads are canon.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Because Oda basically said, well, there's so many adventures they have that there's not room to tell them all.
Mm. Yeah, and really, so I don't know, people. So if you want to take that as canon, you're gonna have to take every Zoro Nami moment as canon as well, and all the color spreads and everything else. And there's some wacky color spreads, let me just tell you right now. So yeah. I don't know, take it as you will. But honestly, I think it was just kind of a cool, wacky little Thriller Bark reference, color spread where all the, it's a cool picture because Zoro's sitting there with his arm around some zombie dude, and he's got a bottle of booze in his hand, and he's got this cool biker vest on, and the rest of them are sitting around the graveyard interacting with these Thriller Bark zombies. I mean, it's a cool color spread. It's awesome. That's the only thing I thought when I looked at it. I mean, I didn't notice that Zoro was sitting on a tombstone until they started spazzing out about it, and I'm like, where else is he supposed to sit? Everybody else is taking up the grass, in between the tombstones. Seriously, he's sitting there he's sitting there, like, laughing his ass off with, like, said zombie dude, like, I think it's cool. I think you should just let Zoro have his happy moment, because we don't see him smile so much lately, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let the poor guy have a moment to smile.
And that's one thing that I kind of miss is, since post-time skip, is we rarely see Zoro goofing off or smiling. And that's one thing I miss. And it's like, oh, come on. Like, I know you went through some pretty brutal, crazy training, and, things have gotten a little more serious here and there, but for the love of God, goof off with everybody else again. Like old times, like, I don't know. Like, I miss it. It's like, I don't know. He's gotten a lot more serious. It's like he's grown up in, like, 2 years. It's like, It's like I've turned 50 in 2 years, It's like, I don't know. So, I don't know. Zoro needs to smile again. I'm willing to sign a petition. Let me know, guys.
Yeah.
We'll write a petition to Oda. Have Zoro smile again. I mean, really smile,
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, we have been on here. How long have we been on? We've had 3 viewers, and we've been on here an hour and a half. I think it's probably about time we sign off, because this is probably the longest podcast that we've had in history, ever.
Well, we've talked about some good things, haven't we?
Yes, we have. So.
Well, I think we've done quite a lot, and it's been great.
Yes, it has.
And hopefully we'll continue to get more and more members.
Yep. And for anybody who's out here on the community, if you see Zoro Nami fans, like, on your travels through fanfiction.net and DeviantArt and whatever, AO3 and any other website, first of all, make sure you recommend any of their fan art or fanfiction on our website.
Yeah.
Please. Send them a message.
Promote.
Promote our community and have them come on here and bounce on here and let us know and everything, and let them know about us and everything, and and also everybody, please, post to your heart's extent, post fan art, post fan fiction, post comments.
Yeah, post. We need
post it, please.
We need your support in terms of your material.
Yeah.
We need your fan art.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. I was in another part of Berlin the other day, where I live in Berlin, Germany, and there was a street that literally translates to Moss Street, right? And I was literally about to take a picture and, like, post it in the community, because I was waiting at the bus stop for like 25 minutes for the freaking bus, right? So I was like, seriously, I was like, the sign is giving me a sign here, right? Like, I should
Marimo.
take a picture. Yeah, I was like, really,
that would have been funny.
Matter, if it's like, Moss Street in, like, Hungarian, like, seriously, by all means, if it gives you a laugh,
post it. We need your material.
We need your material, we need your support, we need your plot bunnies, we need your fan art, we need your fan fiction, we need anything under the sun that even remotely resembles Zoro and Nami or One Piece in general. So post away, guys, and keep thinking of awesome, wacky, crazy ideas for when we hit 100 members, because you guys get to tell us, or me, either way, how to dress up, what to do for this whole, for the next podcast. So, until then, take care, have fun.
Take care.
And please, please post. That's all I can say.
Take care.
All right. We're signing
Signing off.
off now.